I said it in the Montreal recap, and I'm going to have to stick to my guns here now even more so. This team could be pretty good. Hey y'all, I'm Chris. This is the SaberCast, and I have to believe that Sabre Nation is feeling pretty good today, coming off our 4-2 win over the Detroit Red Wings last night. It was a really, really good effort. Another 60-minute effort in the same vein as the game against Florida. There were a few lapses from time to time, but in general, the team showed fight. The team showed energy from start to finish. Maybe a little blip there at the start of the second period, but overall, just a fantastic game and a lot of work done by the bottom six, by the middle six, the secondary guys, the guys who the fans have been saying, oh, we're too thin on the secondary guys. Secondary guys aren't stepping up. Secondary guys aren't good enough. I tell you, they look pretty good to me because they really drove the bus last night. So I was very, very impressed by a lot of different players. And the fact we're doing this so shorthanded, even more so shorthanded now with Jason Zucker going out for about half the game, it's on one hand, it's terrible that you're so injured, but on the other hand, it has to give you so much encouragement because when these guys come back, we actually will have a pretty solid core behind them, you would think, and a battle-tested core behind them. So, look, I know it's early in the year. I know we still have a losing record. I understand all that. But what we've seen, especially the last 4 games, there's a lot to be excited about with this team. So we'll get into that today. We'll get into some of my reasons for being so positive. We'll look at some of the good. We'll look at some of the top performers. And yeah, of course, there's a couple things that we have to talk about that aren't so good as well. We're also going to take a look at kind of the injury news. We'll take a brief check down on UPL and how his rehab start against Syracuse last night went. And in general, we're just going to try to cover as much as we can to try to catch up with everything Sabres for y'all today. Doan and Zach Benson. So how can you... So it's kind of a nice redemption tale for Mr. Quinn in this one. He was outstanding. Like, there's no other way to say it. He had really nifty passing plays. Even in the first period, he had a nice play that they just couldn't connect on. Second period, his give and go with Zucker. And then his pass down low to Kozak was outstanding. And then his one-timer, obviously, that would stand up as the game-winning goal. Just an absolutely outstanding performance by Jack Quinn. And so I just want to touch on that straight away, make sure he gets the flowers he deserves, because that was absolutely wonderful. For me, watching this game, there were a few really key things that I thought were important that the Sabres are going to have to replicate moving forward. The first one is they open the game with energy. Now, that's something they have struggled to do, but when you can open the game, when that fourth line opens, they are outstanding. And right now, Beck Malenstein is probably, I don't know who else in this community is giving him his flowers, but he was outstanding again. To come in, off that opening draw, you go down in your own zone, to break it out with speed, draw the opening penalty. It set the Sabres up for the entire rest of the game. It started that narrative there. It blunted the Red Wings in any way because the Red Wings were right on the penalty kill. Then they actually took another penalty. Sabres started the game on the front foot, on the power play. They were sniffing around, and then they controlled the entirety of the first 10 minutes. The Detroit Red Wings did not get a shot until about 9:50 or 9:40 left in the first period. Absolutely outstanding. You can't ask for more than that. The only thing you can ask for more of, the only aspect to that you can ask for more regarding is for the Sabres to have potted a goal at some point in there. But they generated their chances. They had good looks. I just could not get it to go. Especially Tage Thompson. He had 2 really good chances, just could not get it to go, which has really been the story of his early season. We'll touch on him a little bit later on. The other thing that was good that I think the Sabres are going to have to get more of is they finally got production from multiple lines. It's really the first time it's happened. Multiple even strength lines, I should say. They had the 1 power play goal, but otherwise the other 3 goals all came from even strength attempts. So you had the third line, which was the Jack Quinn line. That produced 2 goals. And then you had the McLeod and Doan second line, which produced a goal, even strength. And then McLeod and Quinn obviously combined for the goal on the power play. It's the first time really this year where 2 lines have been truly dangerous. And then the first line always represents trouble. And then the fourth line was playing with some energy. It would be very tough for any team to stop. Not just the Detroit Red Wings. Any team would have had trouble with that setup tonight. Because if you can present the matchup problems the first line does, and then you can present kind of some good offensive looks and offensive ability that the second and third lines both have. I mean, if Quinn's on the third line and you have Doan and McLeod on the second line, you have a really nice combination of... You have some good offensive potential there. It just, to this point, has been unrealized. But this was a game where they finally played up kind of to their potential and were able to really fire on all cylinders. If that top line had actually been good tonight, the Sabres really would be tough to beat. Like, this was the ideal of what I think this team can be as far as performances. I doubt we'll get this type of play every night, but this was really, really good. Another thing that was important is they kept their energy up the whole game. There was no real lull. There was a little lull at the start of the second period, but in general, they were on the Red Wings the whole game. They didn't give them anything easy. Offensively, they were getting more support, bringing the puck out of the zone. They were also making plays faster. They were not too slow to find their man out of the zone. They seemed to know where their outlets were today, which was a big difference from the game against Montreal. Now, to be fair, Detroit was much slower in their pressure generation as opposed to Montreal, who was very quick. So it remains to be seen if when the opponent brings a lot of quickness on their forecheck, can the Sabres still make those same types of outlet passes? Can they still find their men quickly enough? That's going to be something that's going to have to be tested as we go throughout the season. But against the slower teams, Florida and Detroit, they have looked much, much better at finding their outflow. So that's something to be encouraged by. The slower, more physical teams, it looks like the Sabres have a bit of an advantage. Kind of the slower teams, it looks like the Sabres will have a bit of an advantage against. So that's good. That's something to take with us. Obviously, the goaltending situation right now is just... It's a good problem to have. The Sabres are in a spot right now where they actually have a really good problem. Because you have Alex Lyon, who's been outstanding. Colten Ellis, his first NHL start, he was very good. You have UPL, who has struggled last year, but if he returns to his 2023 form, he's a very strong netminder as well. He was down in Rochester, making his first rehab start against Syracuse. And then you have Devon Levi waiting in the wings. And you still have Alexander Georgiev kicking around too. That's 5 goalies. It'll be very interesting to see as UPL comes back, what do they do with Colten Ellis? Do they keep him on the roster? Do they carry 3 goalies? Do they try to get him through waivers? That's going to be impossible because at the very least the Blues are going to try to take him back. Like, what do you do if you're Buffalo? So that's something that we're going to see in the coming days as UPL has to come back off his rehab assignment. He can be on the rehab for the 14-day period, so he can be as long as 2 weeks, but after 14 days, he has to come back. I think he'll be there probably this weekend, and then we'll probably see him back next week. And when he does come back, it'll be very curious to see what the Sabres decide to do with Colten Ellis. So keep your eyes peeled. But yeah, Colten Ellis, absolutely outstanding in this game. Stopped 2 breakaways, stopped a really good chance in front. His rebound control was not always the best, but he was coming up with the big saves at the big moments, and you can't ask for anything more from a goaltender than to make the big saves when it matters the most. And he was able to do that in this one tonight. Now, I do unfortunately have to mention some of the negative points as well. So the first thing I want to mention, and it's something that has been something I've constantly been noticing is throughout all these games, the Sabres really, really tend to attach themselves to the puck to the point where a lot of times they get caught watching the puck. I think the first goal tonight is a very good example of that. The 3 Sabres were all looking at the puck. Nobody decided to take the man in front of the net. It ends up a goal. Against Montreal, you had that situation where all the forwards could go out and challenge the guys coming into the zone, but Thompson and Benson were looking at the puck, and so they were not able to see the free Canadian coming around the side, and that led to a goal. So I really, really would like to see the Sabres have more awareness of where the opposition is. They can see the guys that they're in front of them, but otherwise they tend to follow the puck. They don't have a great feel for where the opposition is. I understand you have to know where the puck is at all times, but you also have to know where the other team is, and they don't have a good feel for that right now. So hopefully that is something that can be improved. I'm not really going to say that it's everyone who's struggling with that. It's certain forwards and certain defensemen who are struggling with that. Metsa, I mean, come on. Metsa is a very hard worker, but he's not the most talented. He's not the most natural defenseman in the world. So it's not so surprising that he gets caught looking at the puck in that situation. But the other two guys, Zucker and Dahlin, you would hope that one of them would recognize the situation in front and not all get caught looking at the puck there. So that was a little disappointing, right? The other disappointing factor, and again, I've touched on this, but if you look at the team statistics right now, and this is no knock on any of the guys who are the leading scorers, they're doing great. But if you go through the point list right now, I just want you to wait for how long it takes to get to Tage Thompson. So, number 1, Jack Quinn. Number 2, Josh Doan. Number 3, Zach Benson. Number 4, Jason Zucker. Number 5, Rasmus Dahlin. Number 6, Ryan McLeod. Number 7, Alex Tuck. Number 8, Tage Thompson. Thompson is tied for 7th with Alex Tuck with 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points. But Tage Thompson also currently has a -7, which is tied for lowest on the team with Rasmus Dahlin. Now, it's not an overreaction to say that he's struggling. And I'm not even criticizing him for the struggle so much right now. And Rasmus Dahlin also is struggling offensively. He only has 5 points and he has no goals. And I think you'd say Tuck is struggling offensively too. Only 1 goal and 3 assists. But with Dahlin and Tuck, those are two guys who provide a lot of other value than just scoring. Dahlin actually does provide fair leadership, I think. Dahlin is all over the ice trying to make something happen. Dahlin's number 1 issue is the turnovers. Did you know, by the way, when Dahlin has 3 or fewer turnovers this year, the Sabres are 3-0. But when he has 4 or more turnovers this year, the Sabres are 0-4. He has to keep it clean. But Dahlin is someone who's always trying to make something happen. He has a lot of value to this team. And Alex Tuck has a ton of value as a penalty killer and as a guy who's going to go down and block shots. In fact, even tonight, right, Alex Tuck comes out there and he doesn't actually have the best offensive game of his life. In fact, he doesn't really contribute anything very much offensively. He has 3 shots. But the key for him is the 4 blocks. And the 2-10 he ate on the penalty kill and got 4 blocks. And that's what Alex Tuck can bring you. Aside from goal scoring, what exactly does Tage Thompson provide to this team? If he is not doing the goal scoring, how does he contribute? So you can live with Tuck not scoring and you can live with Dahlin not really scoring because they provide more intangible aspects to the team, some of which can be quantified, some of which can't. But if Tage Thompson is not scoring, what's he providing? He can't really defend, right? He's very slow to get back in any situation. He's not great at recognizing how the other team's attacking. So if he's not scoring goals, his value is actually not that high to the team. And when he's basically eating the most offensive minutes per night, you need him to score. And I know he's trying. Like, he's had good chances. He's been a little bit snake bit. But we need him to get the goals at this point. Because imagine if he's scoring. If he's scoring and the secondary players are playing the way they've played, this team becomes extremely dangerous. And I don't think people quite realize how dangerous this team could actually be once they get healthy. But they could be quite good. So, it's not an attack on Tage Thompson. I'm just saying we got to score some goals at some point here, buddy. That's all. But overall, I think Sabres fans, we got to be very happy. This was a wonderful performance. They played, I would say, 55 outstanding minutes of hockey. And to come away winning against a team that's won 5 straight, that they did lose Patrick Kane. They are without Patrick Kane, but other than that, they're fairly healthy. You even were able to survive their top line getting a goal. You were able to survive conceding the first goal and to still come out of this game with a win, primarily earned by your hustle, your energy, and your effort. You got to feel good if you're a Sabres fan. And you got to feel good if you're a Sabre. I mean, they must feel good about that. They have to take this energy and this momentum forward into the next game. Just some names I'm going to throw out there as well as players who I think deserve some credit or some attention. Connor Timmins picked up 2 assists and 2 points, and he was +2 tonight. And he had another block tonight. Connor Timmins is not getting a lot of credit right now, but he led the team in ice time again tonight. He's been outstanding on the penalty kill in pretty much every game he's played in. He's quietly been one of the best acquisitions that was made by the Sabres. He has been very, very good. And when Kesselring comes back, I think this decor will have really become... I think this decor will be quite stable compared to what we've seen in past years. And I think a lot of that has to do with Connor Timmins. He might not get a lot of credit. Remember, he was just supposed to be a third-pairing defenseman. And yet at this point, this is not the first time he's played the most minutes. And he did it yet again in this one tonight. He played 22:39. Dahlin had the second most at 21:50. People don't want to see Connor Timmins out there on the first pairing. That's fine. I don't particularly want to see him out there on the first pairing either. But if he can play like this and he can play in all situations, then he becomes extremely valuable to this team. And he's helping us get through this injury stretch. So let's not forget Connor Timmins. And Ryan McLeod had 2 assists tonight. And he looked very good playing on the power play. He did well on the penalty kill, picked up 2 blocks. I think he's starting to round into form a little bit. Still, the face-off circle, not great. He was 8 for 20 tonight, but that's better than where he's been. So hopefully he can continue to pick up his game. He's been getting gradually better, I think, throughout the start of the year. So he just has to take it kind of to the next gear. And, of course, you got to throw Tyson Kozak and Beck Malenstein in there again. Kozak has been absolutely outstanding. He is constantly going towards the net. He is the embodiment of the type of hockey the Sabres have been preaching, and he picked up his second goal in as many games tonight. And then Beck Malenstein, he only played 13:08, but he got this game off on the right foot with his tremendous hustle at the start to draw the penalty. And then he did have a minute 50 of penalty kill time. He has quietly emerged as one of this team's better penalty killers. Tonight he had 2 block shots, 3 hits, 3 shots. I mean, he's not out there very much, but whenever he's out there, he does make something happen. So kind of an impact fourth liner, if you will. He's definitely back to the form he showed his first NHL season in Washington. And he's playing much better, than he played last year so far. So hopefully he can keep that going. And hopefully that fourth line can continue to generate the energy, because I think it is giving us a big boost when they can go out there and start the game and play very well. We got to talk about a little bit on the injury front now. Unfortunately, there's bad news and good news. The bad news we all saw. Jason Zucker exited the game during the second period with what has been classified as an upper body injury. He went to make a hit, and then he just didn't feel good after he made the hit, and he went to the bench. As of the end of the game last night, Lindy Ruff said he was being evaluated, and as of this morning, we still have no new information about Jason Zucker. So when that comes out, it will probably be out in time for my Toronto preview. I will include it in my preview for the first Toronto game. As far as Michael Kesselring, we got some good news on that front. He is continuing to take rehab skates, and it sounds like he could join team practices this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see when he actually gets back. I can't imagine he'll be in a contact situation this weekend, so it might take till next week to kind of get him up to speed. If they can, and if everything goes well, you might be looking at as early as Columbus, maybe Boston, next week, but that might be pushing it. I don't know how fast or how slow they want to move with him. It's very difficult to speculate with him because the injury remains totally undisclosed, so it's tough to know what they're going to do with Kesselring. But I would say, sometime in the 3 games after Toronto, we might get to see him back, is how it's sounding. But we'll see. The other injury news, of course, UPL made his first rehab start with the Amherst. He wasn't overly tested by Syracuse. He faced 23 shots, made 21 saves as the Amherst beat Syracuse 4-2. This conditioning assignment can last up to 14 days, but he has to come back by the end of that. In my gut, I think they're going to try to give him one more game this weekend, and then they will probably recall him after this weekend. But again, it's going to be very interesting what happens on the goaltending front from there. So Luukkonen may be in position to come back next week. Kesselring may be in position to come back next week. That is wonderful news. We'll continue to look out for new information, but probably the next piece of information we're going to get is the Jason Zucker injury. Hopefully it's only a few days, and he's also able to return to action next week. But we're going to have to figure out a way to get through this home and home against Toronto in order to feel good about our positioning. So we take a look at the standings. The Buffalo Sabres are currently 5th in the Atlantic Division, 3-4 with 7 games played with 6 points, ahead of Boston in terms of point percentage, who's played 8 games and has 6 points. Ottawa has 5 points through 7 games, and Tampa Bay 4 through 6. So Buffalo is ahead of all of those teams. The team directly ahead of them is the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have 7 points through 7 games. So that makes this home and home series a really critical early season one. If the Sabres win both games, they come out with a winning record. But I think if they can come out of this with a split and be 4-5, given how we started the year, they come out of this with a split or 4-5, they would have gone 4-2 over this Atlantic Division 6-game stretch. They'd be only a game under 500 after an 0-3 start. I think we'd be very happy to be in that situation. And with Columbus and Boston coming up next week, there might be a little bit of a chance to make some hay and maybe get back to 500 or above next week. But it all starts with ensuring that we get a split here against the Maple Leafs. I think we should be satisfied with that because with our injuries right now, and as good as a Toronto can be, there's a definite chance we could lose both games if we don't play up to our standard. So I think a split is what we can hope for. But hey, if they get the 2-game sweep, it's basically party time for us. So, but yeah, let's enjoy those 2 games. It's going to be a lot of fun, very interesting. It's always a big rivalry, the Sabres in Toronto. So let's enjoy that series. As far as this channel for those 2 games, the first game we will not be doing anything, but the second game, the Saturday game, which has now been moved to a 5 p.m. start, we will have our first live stream in a while here on the channel. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't joined one of those yet, please feel free to stop by Saturday. If you're not at the game in Toronto, please feel free to stop by and tune in with us. We tend to have a good time. There's lots of fun. We tend to have a good time during those. So feel free to stop by, join the chat, throw your opinions out there. We all tend to have a good time talking hockey and watching the Sabres during those. So yeah, we'll be happy to have you if you want to drop by the live stream on Saturday. So that's all I got today. Buffalo, great win. Sabres fans, we should be very, very happy, very, very satisfied. But let's keep going. All right, this team looks like and definitely has the potential to be good. So let's keep supporting them. Let's keep pushing. And let's just see how far they can go this year. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, thank you all so much for watching. How do you feel about this win? Were you happy? Were you totally satisfied? Were there some things you were unhappy about? And how do you rate our chances this weekend against Toronto? So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. And if you feel so inclined, please subscribe to the channel. We would be so happy to have you in our little Sabres hockey community here. So as always, go Sabres. Bye-bye.